Hello everybody, this is Katarina with Libelula's Path, and I am a channeler, an Akashic record reader, as well as an energy practitioner, and I am here to talk about the new moon on January 29th. So the new moon is going to be a wonderful time to let go of the old and be aware of the new. During new moons, the energy is usually creation, and then the full moons are more so fulfillment. So we are creating, but we may not see the outcome of our creation until the full moon. For this for this new moon in particular, I recommend looking at what you were trying to manifest during the October-November months. What was going on for you during those months in order for you to move through things. For example, the better way to say that is, what were you calling in during those 2 months in October or November, or what challenges were you experiencing in October or November? And that theme will be directly impacting this new moon. Those same scenarios or manifestations or challenges will be highlighted during this new moon. So that's really important to be aware of and to talk about. One of the things that I highly recommend during this new moon, I keep wanting to say full moon, but this new moon, is cleansing. Cleansing your space, whether that's cleaning, cleansing yourself, doing meditations, getting back into a meditative practice, stretching, which is a way of releasing blocked energy. I highly recommend stretching at least once a day, or being aware of stretching during the weeks of the full and the new moon. Also, beyond cleaning and stretching and cleansing ourselves, also doing some cleansing in our relationships. What is it that we need to follow up with? Who is it that we need to follow up with in our life? Who is it we need to get in contact with? Who is it that we need to have a conversation with in our life? These are going to be very important during this new moon. And the reason why is because right now there is this rebirth going on. And when we cleanse, we allow new things to come into our lives. There's a saying, which I probably won't say it correctly, but when we let go of things that no longer serve us, we make new room for new things to come into our life. So what is it that we can let go of this new moon in order to call in what we desire more? For example, is it something along the lines of the way that you treat yourself? Is it something along the lines of the way that you work, or the way that you eat, or even the way that you speak about others? There can be one thing. I recommend one thing, and the reason why is because when we try to change too many things at once, we put ourselves through unnecessary anxiety, and we put ourselves through a big tower moment. And for people who don't know tarot that well, the tower card represents everything that was before no longer is. So if there's foundations that, for example, if I grew foundations, if there's certain foundations that I had when I was 15, I'm not gonna have the same foundations. I've had plenty of tower moments up until my 20s. So there have been things and foundations that have broken down in order for me to find my purpose and be closer to my source self. So one of those, back to what I was saying, is being aware of one particular thing that you want to work on in this new moon, and you want to change or you want to evolve. This, I am seeing for a lot of people, this is the way that they view their life. How is it that you view your life? Do you feel like you are an abundant being? Do you feel like you are living your purpose? Do you feel happy with your body? Do you feel like the people around you are supporting your goals and supporting you? These are things that, or shall I say, topics that are really hitting home with a lot of people. And people are going through an evolution where whatever is no longer serving them, even if it's the way that they personally act, they're being made, there's a choice that is pushed to be made. Whether you continue to keep going down the path that is comfortable, that you know, or you choose a path that is unknown and at the time scary, but there's so many rewards throughout the path or at the end of the path. And speaking of growth, acknowledging your wins and acknowledging the small successes in your life is so vital to staying on the track of growth. And we're getting into this topic for the new moon because I do feel and see that that's been very important and on the minds of a lot of people. So when we have a goal, whether it's the way that we want to feel, the way that we want to look, what we want to achieve, quote unquote, when we don't stop to celebrate the small wins of every single day and find something to be grateful for, we ourselves can get into an anxious state, a depressed state. We can feel unmotivated, or we can feel like we're overly exhausting ourselves because we're not acknowledging the gifts that we bring to the table, and we're not acknowledging what is it that I can acknowledge right now in my life that I am doing right, or that is aligned with what I want in the future. And everything is not going to be perfect. Everything is not going to be the way it's meant to be, because if it were, then life would be boring and life wouldn't have as much nutritional value as it does when we don't know the future. At times, there is this obsession to know the future because we want to be able to control the outcome. We want to be able to know what is coming next. And the gift of life is that we don't know. So what is it that you can do to surrender to the unknown and at the same time recognize what you do know? In addition to these pieces, there's also the acknowledgement that we are really coming out of this unclear time as well. There are a lot of things that are going on the planet and internally in each individual person that is causing a lot of unease, because there seems to be some kind of smoke screen, some kind of unknown piece. Let's just say there's this kind of smoke screen in our future. What is it that's going to happen in our future? And the collective is going to be more clear. Everybody is going to get more clear on what is it that their future is going to be and how is it going to manifest. One side note is we have free will, and each choice does impact what our future ends up being. And one choice can be as even if it's extremely small, can push us or gently guide us to another path. And I say this because there's nothing ever set in stone. We don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, and we don't know what's going to happen in the next 30 minutes. So when we surrender, one, to the unknown, but when we let ourselves feel the unease, we give it less power. Going back to what I was saying about the smokescreen being lifted. So February through April is going to be a really big period of being more clear on what is it that our path is. And I say this because as much as we don't know what is coming next, we can actually feel when we get more into our body, feel more into our body, and that can be accomplished through sitting in silence with ourselves, stretching, spending more time with ourselves, creating rituals for ourselves, really guiding ourselves from the external into the internal and making that a priority. We are able to feel our future. Our emotions indicate our path. So if you're feeling consistently sad, consistently uneasy, if you are feeling angry or just this weird friction in your body, there are two things or two aspects that may be going on there. One is that you're trying to change, and the other part of you that doesn't, there's always a part of us that doesn't necessarily want the change to happen. And it often is the subconscious part of us. So when we try to change, we can get more anxiety. When we try to change, we can feel really weird for a period of time, and this can be months, this can be years, and this is not to scare anybody, but change doesn't happen overnight. True impactful change takes months, it takes years. And when we check in with ourselves monthly, we are able to understand and feel and see the change. So when we feel our emotion, but when we feel what current state we're in, we're able to, it's almost like we're able to check in and inform ourselves, how are we doing? Are we feeling like we're living our life's purpose? And throughout the day, let's say you're measuring your feelings in the morning and the afternoon and night, and it's not going to always consistently be one emotion, because we're a varied emotion species. But if there's an overall emotion of excitement and rejuvenation and happiness and joy, but yet there are still aspects of anxiety and tiredness, that's okay. But when you're letting yourself inform you of the overall feeling you're feeling, that is informing where exactly you are in your journey. Then the other part of us, when we are feeling consistently uneasy, angry, depressed, that is also an indicator that we are not on the right path for us, not for anybody else, but for us. And one example is, if we're consistently, let's say we're in a relationship with somebody, and we tend to feel really anxious around this person, and we tend to feel like not ourselves, or we tend to feel like we are diminished. We have to diminish ourselves to be around them. That is often an indicator that that person isn't for you, and they're not at that time in particular, they're not meant to be and continue to be on your path. Relationships consistently change. That doesn't mean that that person will not grow with you in the future, but right now you may need to take space from that person. And this can apply to career, and this can apply to body confidence, this can apply to health. This is just an example. So let yourself feel your emotions, and I won't be surprised that for some of you, when you do let yourself feel how you feel in your work setting, in your relationship, in your home, in the city that you live in, you may start to understand, and maybe journaling this out for yourself would be beautiful, but you may begin to understand what it is and isn't working. So this is going to be the end of the video right here, but what the last couple pieces I want to add is being aware. That is the biggest message to take away for the new moon. Checking in with yourself, understanding that in order to liberate ourselves, we must accept the fact that we can't control every aspect of our life, and being truly kind to ourselves. I hope that you enjoyed this video, and please feel free to comment below if you have any questions or beautiful comments. I look forward to replying to them, and until next time,